So how do you go about your transformation journey? Okay. So simple. Typically, similarly like we do in any other businesses, you look at your current environment, and then you do some gap analysis, and then you look at the future. Okay. So similarly, it goes the same way. Okay. So you analyze all your current existing structures. So business architecture will give you a structured way, okay, to look into your organization, business capabilities, your value stream, the processes, the entire ecosystem. So you need to capture that and then model that so that you can understand what is your current situation. Okay. So once you have understood all your current situations and so on, then you can go ahead and look into the gaps. Okay. So typically in architecture, it will mention about identifying your gaps plus the opportunities. Why not just gaps? Okay. Because what will happen is once you identify a gap, say for instance you want to fully digitalize certain processes, okay, then you want to use, say, artificial intelligence to make decisions to help in terms of speeding up the processes. So you have identified the gap, so you have the initiative to do that, okay, fully digitalize and then look into AI. So besides filling up the gap, what are the new opportunities that you can churn from that particular investment or initiative? That's why we mentioned gaps and also opportunities. Okay. So this is the step that we do to assess your current environment. We call it, you need to diagnose your environment, okay, your organization. Okay. Next, you define the future. Okay, you design to understand where is the organization heading. So this is where the business architecture is very important, to have alignment with the business strategy of the organization. Okay. So which one comes first? Enterprise architecture or business strategy? Okay, 100% everybody got it right. Okay. So what happens when you want to do business architecture or enterprise architecture? The strategy is not clear, or it's not, well documented, or it's coming to an end to a certain period cycle. So what happens?
Stalled effort.
Yeah.
Things couldn't move because
Right.
it's not clear. It's a moving goalpost.
Yes. So before we really embark, we just revisit the stakeholders, check with them. Maybe you need to just take a step back, have a small focus group discussion or brainstorming just to address the strategy that we are looking into. Okay. So once we understand the future, okay, then also we need to know what we want to achieve and how we and what we are going to achieve, whether we want to be top in terms of our positioning, our revenue base, customer base, even our segment and so on. Then we can define all our architectures, okay, the target business architecture, and from the gaps and opportunities, okay, we come out with a roadmap. How are we going to implement, okay, by stages, or what are the initiatives that needs to be taken place in order for us to reach towards the vision and goals. So this is where we will design the future state and understand the roadmap in order to achieve it. It's very important, it's always must be business driven. Okay? Although we are doing a lot of IT stuff, okay, AI nowadays, with all this upgrading of infrastructure, going cloud and things like that, there's always a business purpose for it. Okay? What happens if the server goes down, if you don't go to cloud and things like that, if you don't embrace AI? What happens if you don't embrace AI? Does it matter? Cost a lot of money. Okay. No choice. It will come. Okay. Slowly, AI or any digitalization, it will come, and if you don't embrace it, you'll be left out. Okay. So we're looking into, when you start implementing this business architecture and transformation, do not forget, okay, how to handle the change. What happens? What are the key changes that will happen when you go for digitalization? Yeah? Okay, cost goes up or goes down? Goes up. Challenging, eh? Initially, it will go up, but over long term, it should be sustainable.
Yes, but it also means new revenue generating business
Ah,
models.
okay. Then you might say more profit now. Okay, more revenue, even higher costs. So this is the language that we need to understand. This is what the language that the business are looking for. Okay. What happened to the people? More or less? Okay, depends. There will be less people who are doing operational work. So what's going to happen to them? Okay. So this is something that we need to handle as well. Okay. There will be departments who are going to be no more available. You know what happened in JPJ? Nowadays you don't have to have your what license or physical license or road tax, right? Okay. There's one department that takes care of this stock. You know, the stock. Yeah, there's one department handling this because it's a highly secured document or physical stock. So this department is gone. Okay, so there will be a role change, resources of reduction, but definitely there's reskill that needs to be done in new areas and so on. So these changes has to be handled as well. Okay, so this is also part of the business architecture movement that we need to look into. Okay, so we need to work closely with our stakeholders. HR is a very important department that we need to work. All the line of business that's impacted by the scope of the initiative is something that we need to work closely. Okay. We have to make sure that this plan is always communicated so that everybody sees the same thing. They sees the same direction, so that it can have good transparency and buy-in, so that everybody will know that this is the direction that we're going to go through. If they try to introduce something new and so on, then just go back to the thing and see where do they fit in. If it orders to be changed and so on, then let's do that. Okay. So this is where we will be developing, all these initiatives and implementing. So execution also happens here. Okay, after you design. And finally, you need to show the values. Okay, you need to measure your success. So what happens if you don't measure? You will launch your product, your systems, cut ribbon, celebrate. Done. Okay. Done. So whether it gives you the value that you promised earlier, so you need to start measuring lah. If you say that it will reduce the cost and so on, then it will show that yes, it reduces the cost. It gives you optimization, it gives you more profit and so on. So this is where you need to start measuring. So do not forget before and after. Measure before and measure after. If you only measure after, people will only remember the new measurement and they'll ask you more and more things. So previously it takes 3 months to do certain approvals. Now it's 1 month. So if you don't measure 3 months towards 1 month, people will always remember 1 month and they want 1 week, 1 hour, 1 minute, and so on. They want more and more. Okay. So it's very important for us to measure so that it will be data driven, it's factual and objective. Right? And also once you've done that, think about what is the next improvement that needs to be done. What are the new innovation, continuous improvement that actually can take place in terms of your businesses. Because things will change. Okay, things will improve. Like I mentioned, 3 months to 1 month, what's next? Okay, and so on. So this will give you a good way of running your organization to have high performance, innovation, continuous learning, and so on. Okay? So as conclusion, what we are saying is business architecture is very important. Okay? Transformation without design or without certain structured way of doing things will be ending up in chaos. Business architecture is something that's very important for us to steer the way we do our transformation. Of course, the transformation has its own journey. Typically, the S is, would be, you have your gap analysis, you have your roadmap. Do not forget about your change management. Okay, get them on board even when you do the designing phases and also the road mapping. And finally, start measuring your success and look for the next innovation.